Hi everyone, and welcome back to Herzography. Today we're diving into one of the most rewarding but also most challenging areas of photography, and that is wedding photography. If you're new to this field, or maybe you've been asked to shoot a friend's wedding and you're feeling nervous, don't worry about it. I've got you covered. We'll walk through the basics you need to know to capture one of the most important days in someone's life. First things first, preparation is everything. Unlike a portrait session or a landscape shoot, you don't get a do-over at a wedding. The moments are happening live, and when they're gone in a second, if you're not ready, you'll have missed it. Get your equipment together and test it in different situations. When you get to the venue on the wedding day, your equipment should just be an extension of you, not an issue to deal with. So you might, or really you should, go to the venue before. Scope out areas to shoot. Come up with maybe a shooting map. Check the lighting and condition of the venue. That means things like scout the venue ahead of time. Know where the ceremony will take place, where the light falls at the time of the ceremony, and where the best spots are for formals and group shots. In this image of the bride and groom in this enchanted grotto pond area, it took a while to find that location. We were sent on from the catering office. We asked them where this location was because we saw it in an image in their reception area, and they sent us on a wild chase in looking into all different areas of the venue where they said it was taken, and it wasn't. But we went and looked throughout the whole venue area, and we did find it. So it took a while, but you know, here's the final result, and it just was magical. So make a shot list, talk to the couples, and see what is most important to them, whether it's the family formals or candid moments or details like the rings and decor. Make a map with a short list of where the images, both portraits and formals, will be shot. We would sketch out a map at the time of the formals. This way we knew where and about how long we would need in each spot to determine if there was any other equipment that we might need, like an extension cord. Get your subjects to laugh or to tell jokes. Have a shot list that you have gone through with the couple weeks before. You want to make sure who is most important if time runs short, because the list needs to be realistic to the amount of time allotted for doing those formals and portraits. Bring backup gear. 2 bodies, the same model if possible, some extra batteries, extra memory cards, because you can't afford to run out of power or storage in the middle of vows. For your main camera, use one that has 2 slots. Just very, very important. Cameras that only have 1 memory slot, like this one, are not for shooting weddings. Have your cameras set to write in RAW files. You want them set to full RAW, or maybe like on the Canon, we would shoot half RAW size. I'm not sure if that's still available, but we would shoot that during the celebration. During the formals and portraits, we would always shoot in full RAW. Set the time on your cameras to be exactly the same, because you'll be glad you did. So when you bring the files from both cameras into Lightroom, timing-wise, they'll match up. Yes, you can always change the time in Lightroom, but it's a pain to do. So having them set up at the exact same time is great. And one way that we used to do this is that when we used to get to a venue and I would have the assistants there and we would all take a picture at the exact same time. And that would be the starting point. So if the times didn't line up, I could match them by those images. Now, of course, having backup batteries is always a great thing to have. And if you're using backup batteries like what most cameras come with, then you're going to need an AC charging unit. But one of the things that are available now that we didn't have back then were batteries with the USB-C charging port. And this is a great addition because with a little battery pack and a cable, you can plug this in and I can have this in my pocket charging a battery, so at a moment's notice I can swap batteries and then plug the other one in to charge. It's great advantage of having these batteries today. Also, if you have two bodies that are similar or the same, then the batteries will be the same. Another extra convenience instead of having different batteries for different cameras. Bring a ladder if you can. They're not very expensive. They come lightweight because when you need to be higher and standing up high to get that shot, whether they're up in the chair or there's something happening and you want to try to get that image, putting your arms up in the air like this or standing up on a chair, you're just not going to get a professional looking image that you would if you were taking the image from a ladder, like in this one here. Test your camera out, both your main camera and your backup camera. Make sure all the settings are correct, and if there are important settings, just write them down as a backup just in case for some reason you have to reset your camera from scratch. You don't need the most expensive gear to shoot a wedding, but you do need equipment that's reliable. A full frame camera is ideal, but a crop sensor camera can work also. The key is having fast lenses like f2.8 or faster because weddings often happen in low light. So for me, a good starter kit, my favorite lens actually was my 16-35 f2.8. By the way, when I was shooting weddings, I was only using Canon equipment. So the 16-35 f2.8 was the main lens that I would use for either sometimes for formals if it was a really wide group, but once we went into the room for the celebration, that was for the most part 80%, 90% of the time the only lens that I used. Because with that lens you can get onto the dance floor and you can get in real close, and the 2.8 focuses fast. If you're taking table images, you don't have to back up so far that you're backing into the people on the next table behind you. But you do need to make sure that if you're using that lens, that you use the lens hood that it comes with, because if you go all the way down to 16 millimeter, you're going to find that even if the lens is off kilt a bit and not lined up, or if you didn't take the lens cap at all, you're going to get lens flare. Now the 24-70, once again, a great versatile lens. I recommend it in the 2.8 version. Just as I do a 70-200 f2.8. Great lens at ceremonies and when doing toasts where you can't necessarily be up close, that lens is just going to come in so handy. So 2.8 for all three of these lenses, and f4 just, I can tell you, just doesn't cut it in the dark. We tried using it was a 24-105 f4 lens from Canon. Beautiful lens. Loved using it outside, but indoors and when the lights went down low, you know, that lens just would not focus quickly and you'd miss the shot. So having the 2.8 lens, Very, very important. A fourth lens, if you can squeeze it into your budget and your bag, would be a 50 millimeter, either f1.8 or better yet a 1.4. You'll get beautiful portraits and low light images that just aren't otherwise possible. Now, another lens that I would bring with many times, but now you don't have to, would be a macro lens. Now, with these new Maven diopters, putting a diopter like this on a 24 to 70 lens, I'm able to do the close-ups of rings and such that just wasn't possible back in the day where you needed to use a macro lens. So I highly recommend these close-up diopters instead of taking a macro lens to the event. I know that many of us like natural light, but don't forget to take a flash. Receptions happen in dim venues, and a flash can just save you and save those images. Even when you're outside and it's starting to get a little bit dark, a flash can give you separation from your subject to your background. Of course, there are diffusers and different things you can use on the flash, so you don't get that flashy effect, but it is something that you are going to need. And for a starting photographer, I recommend having two, one for your main camera and one for a backup. Now, if you're in low light a lot and you want to kick it up a notch, I recommend shooting also, yes, with a flash, but also with a video light, and a video light that has a variable intensity and turned all the way down to as low as it can go a lot of the times. It helps your camera focus in low light situations. Using a video light, I never had an issue with my camera focusing. Actually, even with the 24 to 105 f4. It helps your camera focus. It gives you detail in those really dark shadows if you're not using a flash. And the nice thing about a video light is that you can hand the video light to someone else. It doesn't need to be connected to your camera like a flash does. Like a flash does, with the caveat that no, a flash doesn't have to be without special equipment. But once again, we're trying to keep it simple. Now, in that vein, my main gear setup looked a little bit more complicated because I set it up with a portrait bracket, and on that bracket I used to have my flash as well as my video light, and it worked out. It was just valuable for me to be able to have those two types of lighting all the time. And the video light that I had was on very, very low, as I mentioned, so my camera would always focus. And the best part is that in many situations, I was able to turn the flash off and just use the video light for very nice, soft video light portraits, which really, really came in handy. And that little flub back there is because now that cameras do a lot of video, that even back when I was doing weddings, I would shut off the flash, turn the video light on, turn my camera onto video, and shoot video for a couple of minutes. Then I would switch the camera back to doing images and just start shooting images with the video light and with the flash if I needed to. But it came in real handy just having both of those lighting sources right there on top of my camera. Now, your backup equipment, I recommend having your backup body and your backup flash in your bag, but in your bag that you keep with you all the time. You want to keep it with you all the time, even while you're shooting portraits and formals, because you don't want to take a chance of that bag getting stolen. It can happen, it does happen. So I recommend keeping it with you. It's kind of a pain, but keeping it with you until you get into the reception room where you can keep it in a safe place with your ladder. During the wedding day, think of yourself as both a director and a documentarian, or as we used to call it, directed photojournalist photography. For portraits and group shots, you need to set up and give clear direction. Be confident and organized so family photos don't drag on and on forever. If the bride and groom will allow it, try to do the portraits and the group shots before the ceremony. It makes those images less rushed and relaxed. Of course, for candid moments, just try to blend in and anticipate the different moments that are happening. Watch the bride's parents during the vows, the groom's reaction during the first look, or the laughter at the reception. Those little in-between moments often become the couple's favorite images. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, shoot in RAW. It gives you the flexibility to fix lighting and color balance issues later in post-production. Don't worry about your color balance. Set it on something like cloudy day, leave it there all the time, but do not use auto color balance. I've heard a number of people talk about it and use it, but I can tell you that using auto color balance is one way to keep you in front of Lightroom for weeks. And I'm talking for a long time, because every single image that you shoot will be a different color balance. It might be off a little bit, but when you go to do your album spread and you're trying to put those images in together, they're not going to match up, meaning their color balance will not match up. And that it will become very, very evident when you start to do album design. So the reason why I use something like cloudy day would be because all of the images in a certain location at a certain time should be the same color balance. There should be no difference. So what I would do is I would take all of the images, let's say from the formals. They're all shot in the same location. I select them all, and then I select something like some concrete or something that's neutral, and I white balance all of them at the same time. And then it's set. They're all the same color balance, and they've all been color balanced. I do the same thing that when I'm shooting outdoors, and let's say I was shooting just with a video light, and they all look yellow-orange. That's okay. I select them all, I do a color balance, they all change at one time, and it's done. You don't have to be doing any more than that. Keep it simple. Don't use auto color balance. One of the most overlooked parts of wedding photography is mindset. You're not just a photographer, you're part of the couple's experience. Stay calm, be encouraging, keep things positive. If you look stressed, they'll feel it. But if you stay composed, they'll trust you more. And that trust shows up in your images. Above all, be professional, show up early, dress appropriately, and respect the schedule. A good attitude can carry you just as far as good technical skills. So those are the wedding photography basics: preparation, gear, shooting style, and mindset. If you're just starting out, focus on these fundamentals, and with practice, you'll build the confidence to handle one of the most exciting jobs in photography. I hope you found this useful, so don't forget to give it a like, subscribe for more, and drop your questions in the comment field below. I'd love to hear your experiences or your challenges with wedding photography. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.